Hi, Internet. We're Only Lovers Book Club. We are three besties. We get together once a month to read a romance book, and then we ask each other questions about it. Before we get started, a couple of reminders. If you like what you see, we're all rocking our cute pink looks, our schoolgirl looks, or what you hear. If you're just listening to the podcast version of this, then you can feel free to leave us a tip jar. You can leave us a tip in our tip jar, leave us a coffee or whatever. You can find the link to that in the description box. But while you're there, might as well click on the links to check out Andrea's books. You can catch it on her Amazon links. Going down the line, you can check out Tashai's website, Think Tashai, where you can check out her writing and poetry. And there's also a link to my online zine. And there's currently, the submissions are still open, so you can contribute to that if you want. There's also our socials, and you can sign up for our newsletter as well. So thanks for bearing with that. And let's get started with our book pick for, what month is it? August? August pick? Yes. And this month, Andrea picked for us to read The Henna Wars. Super cool. Okay, so here we go. The author is extremely lovely and has the pronunciation of not only her name, but of the names of her characters in her FAQ page. Thanks, Drea, for letting us know that that exists. And so I was not pronouncing it correctly the first time, but I didn't think to look it up beforehand. So I looked it up a couple minutes ago, and I already kind of forgot it, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to give him a best. So, Jana, right? Adiba Jaigirdar. Oh boy.
Jaigirdar.
Okay. All right. Obviously, no offense. I just don't know how to wrap my mouth around the consonant vowel combinations. Anyway, so this is The Henna Wars by Adiba Jaigirdar. I'll include the link to the FAQ so you can listen to it as well. But she's got a cute voice, and so you should listen to her doing interviews. So yeah, this is Drea's pick, and it goes a little something like this. Nishat's parents say she can be anyone she wants as long as she isn't a lesbian. Nishat doesn't want to lose her family, but she also doesn't want to hide who she is. And it only gets harder once a childhood friend walks back into her life. Flavia is beautiful and charismatic, and Nishat falls for her instantly. But when a school competition invites students to create their own businesses, both Flavia and Nishat decide to showcase their talent as henna artists. In a fight to prove who is the best, their lives become more tangled, but Nishat can't quite get rid of her crush, especially since Flavia seems to like her back. As the competition heats up, Nishat has a decision to make: stay in the closet for her family or put aside her differences with Flavia and give their relationship a chance. I mean, I read that. Okay, so Drea, why did you pick this book for us to read? Also, thanks. It was great. But why? I must know.
Because I saw the cover, whatever month they revealed the cover. It was probably a long time ago. Like last year, and I bookmarked it solely based on the cover.
I like it when things like that work out. And okay, so we'll give our overall impressions, and then Drea's maybe has some discussion points or questions for us to kind of go through, and then we'll just keep talking about things that pop up. So anyway, hope you enjoy the ride. But I can tell you right now, like, spoiler alert, we'll probably spoil parts of the book. But also, spoiler alert, I know we all loved it. So we're just going to gush about the book and how much we liked it. So does anyone want to go first? Josh, do you want to give your thoughts first? Or I can go. It's cool.
Sure.
Okay.
I can go first. So I think I read this book in like a day.
That's a quick read.
I started reading it while I was transitioning from an old job to a new job, and I had a few days off, so I was like, oh, okay, let me give this a read. This was so fast to read, and I at first wasn't sure if I was gonna like it as much as I liked it, because I had to remember kind of what it is like to be a teenager. And sometimes it's hard for me to kind of put myself back in that mind space where, you know, sometimes things can feel very dramatic when they're not very dramatic. And there is a lot of really kind of serious stuff going on in this book. But even the relationships between like the sister, there's just a couple of things that I had to check myself and be like, okay, let's remember the fact that these are like kids. And once I checked that and reminded myself not to like immediately hate certain aspects of personalities because they are teenagers, and like I just as a person now am terrified of teenagers, and so when things come up it's like, oh god, teenagers. But once I like snubbed that feeling, it was such a good read. Like it was so fast. The characters are really sweet. The interactions between the characters are really nice. I like that the drama wasn't centered around like, oh, forcing someone. Like there were some aspects of like accepting your like sexuality and you know what it means to come to terms with something, but I feel like there was less of a struggle in accepting from the main character, which was refreshing because usually, you know, when I've had experience in these themed books, it's a lot about the main character being like, well, am I or aren't I? Am I or aren't I? And she's like, yep, I'm gay. Like, oh, great. This is something we all have to kind of talk through now. And even the issues, like the main kind of antagonist is like there's layers to the antagonist relation, like the stuff that's creating the conflict. It's not just like one thing, you know, it's a lot of different things. It's this school competition that she like wants to do well in. It's the tension between her and her friends. It's the fact that she likes this girl who's back in her life, and you know, there's a certain level of forgiveness you apply when you like somebody, but then when it starts encroaching in the territory of cultural appropriation because of all of the henna back and forth that's happening, you know, she kind of stood her ground, which was also refreshing because I half expected it to be like, yeah, okay, like this is fine because I like you, but that's not what happened. And so it was really nice. And you know, whenever bad stuff started happening, like I felt really bad for her. She was really strong as a character in the way she handled things, and you know, her sibling relationship was really nice to see how it went down. And yeah, I liked this book a lot. It was really sweet. I was sad when it ended. I wanted to keep reading. I wanted to keep knowing how things were going to go. And the ending, I was worried I would be left with an unsatisfying ending, but then it took a turn and I was like, oh my God, yay. Okay. Like this is so much, yay, like happiness. Cool. So yeah, I gave it 5 stars just because I had such a fun time reading it and just like getting to know the characters, and it had a nice pace to it too. Like I didn't feel like it dragged on, and I just, you know, I would have read more, but I understand that you got to keep.
She already announced her next book coming out next year.
Ooh, yay. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye out for that then, because this is like.
And it's also a rom-com.
So. Perfect. Good to know. That's like bendiciones. Ay, pues qué lindo. And then, of course, the cover was beautiful. And I was like, I look like that girl a little bit.
I thought so, too. Are you talking about, which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about Nisha.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Flavia reminded me of my sister when she was in high school because she had the same kind of hair.
Yeah, I thought it was like, I thought the exact same thing, except maybe like her skin tone a bit lighter, but I was like, that's definitely Tasha in profile. Like I thought it was.
I was like, oh, hey. And I showed it to my sister too. And she was like, that's so cute. And then I laughed because I was like, well, they're in love. But, you know, from an aesthetic perspective, I think that this looks like us. And she was giggling. She's like, that's beautiful cover. Yeah. But see, 5 stars.
Awesome. So I can go next. Agree with everything that Tasha's saying. I like, funny you should mention, I remember talking about this when we did our like mid-year freak out, where it was like, I just don't care about teenagers that way. And that's what I meant, where I'm like, okay, calm down. Like, this isn't the end of the world. But then, you know, you're right. In order for you to enjoy romance, like you have to, you know, suspend your disbelief. But sometimes that suspension of disbelief means, okay, I need to kind of like step back into what it was like and be like a hella dramatic teen. And so yeah, you're absolutely right. Um, let's see. There was so much to like about it. I like that it was a fast read, but it wasn't forgettable. Like I was really excited to just get together to talk about the book because I was worried that I was gonna forget something, but I didn't. It's pretty fresh. I mean, I don't know if like all the details are fresh, but it was pretty fresh. I thought that the issues that were brought up by same thing like you said, Tosh, that liking someone and wanting to give them a pass because you like them, but then not doing that. Different reasons for being closeted or feeling like you need to remain closeted based on what your family would say or what other people's perception of you would be if you come out. And then also having a racist in your family being apparently complicated. I thought when you're a kid and have no control of who you can cut out of your life really at that point. So I thought those were all really cool things. The best part for me of the book was the sister, Pretty, and the good relationship that they had. It wasn't a perfect one. I don't think that like there is any type of good sister relationship that doesn't have like ups and downs, especially with like an age gap, like a really strong age gap. But I like that overall they supported each other and they were there for each other and that they had their ups and downs, but they still like were each other's kind of like backup and priority. So
they were only a year apart, right?
Yeah, they were pretty close in age. I mean, like I was thinking about like me and my sister, really.
No, that's fine. I just was confused for a second. I was like, did I read this book wrong?
So
I definitely thought they were like 3 years different. So never mind. I guess. I was like, oh yeah, they're like
she was taking
like
her exams
and 16.
Yeah, she was taking her exam, the ones that she had taken the year before. So I thought that they were.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But also depending on where you are in high school, right? It can feel like worlds apart. Like one grade can feel like just light years away from the other. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to talk about some stuff with you guys. But overall, I also gave it 5 stars because it was a joyful read. And I had some parts where I was like, damn, that sucks. Like, wow, that's really like I went through it. I went through it. It wasn't just kind of like a joy, kind of like a ha ha ha, whatever, everything is great. It was like, oh, this is tough, but I also was kind of hoping for a happy ending and I got it. So anyway, what about you, Drea?
Yeah, pretty much everything that you guys said. And I also agree. I'm glad that you brought up the whole trying to remember what it's like as a teen, because I feel like a lot of YA coming out is making adults really excited because they're the kind, especially queer YA is the kind of YA that didn't exist when like, a lot of adults were the age of teenagers. And so there's a lot of adults reading these books because they're excited that they exist now, but then giving them lower ratings because they can't connect to the teenagers, even though they're not actually the audience that the book is meant for. So I do think it's important that even though like we're talking about how much we loved it and like gushing about how sweet it is, that like people who read it do keep in mind that we're not the target audience and teenagers are the target audience. And so just keep that in mind. If you have trouble connecting because of the age gap, don't give authors poor reviews because just because you went into something where you were clearly warned. It's just something I've been seeing lately is like a lot of people complaining about that kind of stuff in reviews, like, oh, it's so immature, or oh, the language is so simple, or like, oh, these dramas. Yes, that's exactly
that's literally the point. I haven't really seen much of it, but I will say this as the person who like doesn't. I'm just saying, like, as a self-proclaimed that reads less middle and YA books of us, I wouldn't, if I'm not interested, I just won't read it, but I won't give it a bad rating because it's written like for kids. Like, what are you expecting? Maybe it's because everyone read like books that had like Katniss Everdeen, in the books when they were teens, like Twilight and Hunger Games, and those teens feel like grown-ups. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something I've noticed, like, I don't know, in the Bookstagram world.
So drama, this book stuff. Cool. So do you have like any discussion points for us? Any questions?
Yeah.
Let me know.
So my first question, just because, even though it's YA, it is a romance. Like it's very much a romance. So what did you think about the romance? Was it believable? Were you shipping it? Did you like the sort of enemies to lovers kind of trope? It was kind of like a slow burn too. So just what were your thoughts on the romantic aspects of it?
Oh, before we answer that, I wanted to also mention that the setting was pretty interesting to me. Like, but I also like, the having it be like in Ireland. Like,
yeah, well, that's because that's where the author grew up.
Okay.
Yeah, she's from Bangladesh, but she moved to Ireland when she was pretty young. So she spent most of her life in Ireland, and she has dual citizenship in both countries. So she really wanted to write a book where she saw herself like represented. Like basically this is like what she as a young teenager from Bangladesh living in Ireland as a lesbian would have wanted to read.
Got it. Awesome. I just like how exactly it's like really
literally
almost
she
like
wrote it for herself. Like this is me. I mean, it's not her as a character, but like this is me represented in a book. Exactly. So that's why it's set in Ireland.
I love that. I guess that's what I was referring to. I love that it's so like close to her, niche to her. So okay, back to your questions. I also wanted to bring that up. I thought that was super cute. And a cool like little note. Tosh can go first because I don't know.
I mean, I finished it first, right? So
you did, you speed reader, solid gold for like months now. I'm irritated.
I had a lot of time on my hands. I've been reading more slowly now, though, which is irritating because I have like 2 days left to finish a book I borrowed at the library.
Now's our chance, Drea. We can reclaim the gold spot.
Wait, which is the next book?
It is
the Danny Brown.
Take a Hint, Danny Brown. That's a fast read.
Oh, I haven't read that one because I read Get a Life.
Chloe Brown.
Ooh, shit! I gotta borrow that.
You got time. You have time.
Okay, what did I think of the romance? I thought that was so cute. I thought I don't remember what crushes were like when I was young. Like, I definitely remember having a crush on people when I was like in the 3rd grade, 4th grade, and then seeing them again later and still thinking they were cute, but like the level of liking had changed. And so, also, is the AC sounding really loud, or should I turn it off?
No, it's okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, yeah, every now and then I'll be like, so I was talking to the client.
Whatever. Our listeners will just have to be a little understanding with us. That's okay.
I just sweat internet. I don't want to sweat in my apartment.
It's okay. Lo que no quieren, no quieren. That's it.
God bless. But so I thought their relationship was cute. I was caught off guard by it being something where they knew each other when they were younger, had like a school year together basically, during which I assume that's when they had this like friendship and crush and they like actually liked each other. So the fact that like very quickly after they bumped into each other again, she was like, oh, I really like her. That kind of was one of the reasons why it took me a sec to kind of get into the perspective, because to me it's like, yeah, you can think someone's cute, but like you don't know who they are. And
you were 4 years old.
Yeah, someone who was like 9, when like 8, between 7 and 9, who fucking knows? When you know somebody, to meeting them again when they're 16, 17 years old, like that's a huge difference. They get someone who's nice.
I didn't think it had been that long though.
I thought that they were like in grade school when they knew each other.
Yeah, like they were in elementary school when they were friends, and then they didn't see each other for like middle school / beginning of high school, but then she's in like 11th grade now, right?
That's a long time.
That's a lot.
I know, but it's like 5 or 6. It's like 5 years is what I was imagining. So it's like she got a glow up. You know what I mean? She saw her and she was like, "Whoa, you became a woman."
Pero de que someone is 10 and like shares their like Venga Boy CD with you, and then is 16 and like has experienced queer related trauma. Like, so so I was like, oh, it's convenient that they're both like the same things at this age still and are both like attractive to the other person. So I thought that was really cute and like lucky, like, oh, good, like y'all got along when you were younger and both also happen to be attracted to each other now. Like, that's convenient for plot purposes. It caught me off guard because I definitely think that, like, while I might still think someone who I thought was cute when I was like 10 or 11 is still cute at 16, 17, like, I don't think that I would immediately like them to the degree that it seemed that she was very into Flavia.
Like, normally I would agree with you, but after having fostered 2 teenage girls, I can say that that is very accurate. They will literally see someone and be like, oh my God, I would marry you tomorrow if you asked me, and mean it like 100%, like, sincerely.
Oh God, hormones are a hell of a thing. Dios mío. So many mistakes. But I thought it was really cute. I like how they were like flirty and teasy as they were kind of getting to know each other, and this like competition came up. I totally understood like Nishat's.
No, but let's not talk about that too much because that's one of my questions.
Okay. No, okay. I really appreciated her like inner struggles, how she was trying to deal with things, and also just like she didn't put it all out there right away. Like, it also wasn't one of those like, oh, I'm obsessed with you type of things. She was like cuidándose about it too, which was nice. Oh, I just realized I haven't left. Thanks, baby. So I thought it was sweet. I liked it. I liked how it built. It was really nice to me to experience it. I was like, damn, like, I remember liking someone and just being super overwhelmed by it and not knowing how to like even look at this person because I was so into them that it was like,
yeah, you read into everything that they do or say.
They walk into the room, it's like, I don't care. I'm unmoved by your presence.
Sweats. So I enjoyed the romance. Them knowing each other earlier, I just think that it established the fact that they were both queer from an early age, born gay. So I took it as that, you know. You just are who you are, period. And then even then, at that point, like, they liked each other, but like there was an inkling of like what their future would be. Like, they didn't learn this like from the TikToks. They learned it, you know. They were just like that. That's just who they were. I tried to think of, you know, when they were having their competition, right? And how Nishat is just kind of, I don't know, it's like struggling to, I wouldn't say struggling. I feel like, yeah, she was not struggling with her attraction, but she didn't want to show all of it, all her cards all at once, especially since she didn't know what Flavia was thinking. But I felt like Flavia was so forward with her, and I kind of wish that we'd had a chapter like from her point of view, even though later on it's like pretty, like, you know, she explains it all. But I kind of want to know, it probably was the same thing, but I kind of want to know like what was going on through her mind, through the character's mind, and it was probably just as intense. I just think it would have been cute to see. I don't think that they were ever truly enemies, which makes them not enemies to lovers for me. I think that they pretended that they were enemies, but they always cared about each other. They got mad at each other. There was like miscommunication, misunderstanding, but like ultimately their attraction and their likeness was always there. So I thought that was really really on the nose too. Sometimes when, like me right now, if my crush starts to appropriate my culture, we're like not speaking anymore. I'm blocking you on social media, and that's it. Have fun with that, you asshole. But I probably would have been like, but that's because that's 30-year-old me.
Yeah, but I think too, like, it helps that it's set in a school setting.
Oh yeah,
because it's not like she can just like turn it off. Like, she's gonna keep seeing
exactly
the Henna, seeing her, so she can't really, like, she doesn't have the option to really walk away.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so it works.
Yeah.
it makes it work. Because again, I would be like, no, okay, bye, take care. Unmatched. So cool. What about you, Drea? What did you think of the romance? What did you think of everything that's going on?
I liked it. I thought it was very like soft.
So sapphic, so
like,
good.
like all the like there was a lot of chemistry between them, but it was always like very like sweet chemistry, if that makes sense. Like no one was trying to like shove someone into a closet and like violently like make out. You know what I mean? Like it was all more like sweet almost kiss and then a sweet actual kiss. And then so it was just very soft and sweet. And I 100% am looking forward to them making a movie of this.
No, the BBC series of it, like with their cute little accents and their cute little hair and uniforms.
I mean, if you go on Instagram and you look up like the book, there's so much cute fan art out there. Like I don't think I've ever seen so much fan art for a YA book before, but like everybody is like drawing them in all sorts of situations.
Yeah, that's why I decided to go with a school, like a kind of, this is just like a collar over a like a jacket. But that's why I decided to kind of go this route. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do henna. So how can I kind of like pick tone or pick the look for this hangout? And that's what I was looking at the fan art and I'm like, oh, of course they go to school. They go to Catholic school. They have a uniform. I can work with that. And so, yeah, that's why. But yes. All right. Well, I feel like we wrung the shit out of that question. So on to the next.
So my next question, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but what did you think about the whole, first of all, I think this is the first YA book where I've ever seen like cultural appropriation as a theme or as a problem. I feel like it comes up a lot with like adults, but not so much with teenagers. And even in me like teaching teenagers, I always get the sense that teenagers have no idea what cultural appropriation is. They're just like all over the place. Like as a school teacher, as a foster parent of teens, like that has been my experience. But I also think that so like Flavia thinking that didn't surprise me is what I'm saying, because that's like what I see everywhere. But I don't see enough of teenagers like standing up for themselves and like kind of trying to like have that conversation. So I just wanted to know like what you thought about, because Flavia's point, right, is that art is art. And so everyone should be allowed to make art. So what did you think about that? Do you think, is there any situation, is there any circumstance in which that would apply where you would consider something art and not appropriation? And like, I know it's kind of like a deep, like on the spot sort of question, but it was just making me think, about, because that was her point, right? It's just that art is universal, art transcends cultures. It's not about, the way she was putting it, I guess, was like, it's not about any deep meaning behind the henna. It's just about the aesthetically beautiful art of drawing henna as like art. So yeah, I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on that.
Okay, so I guess the answer is no. To elaborate, when you mention so a culture is not an aesthetic. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Flavia could have chosen to do temporary tattoos of literally animal tattoos, like little cute cuddly, little kawaii, little cute little cuddly, and I would have understood like, yeah, this is my art. But that link to a culture and the significance in that culture. I mean, art is art, that's true, but like we don't live like if you are saying that as an artist, then you're being like willfully ignorant of the meaning of art and the significance that art can have in a culture. And you're being disrespectful. And the only way that I could see, I mean, I don't want to come down super hard, but like just kind of like off the top of my head, the only way that I could see anything like that is through a type of collaboration or something that kind of raises, no, sorry, only in the sense that it raises up like own voices for artists, so to speak. And that's the only time that I would see that not as cultural appropriation. But maybe we'll swing back to it. But that's like my knee jerk, like, no, stop it. I like that initially, Flavia, that's her response, and I like that. I like that that's her reaction. I don't love that that's her reaction, but I like that that's a natural reaction for someone to have. You know, I feel like as a kid, it'd be like, whatever, I'll do what I want. Like, I don't care, you know? And that later on, she kind of is like, look, I'm listening. I hear you. I'm listening. I realized it was wrong. It was a mistake. I won't do it again. Maybe this is something you and I can come to do together. But like, if you're using someone else's art or culture to make a profit, that's appropriation. That's fucked up. Don't do that. Basically, like if you're just doing it for fun, if you're doing it in your notebook, but they were like doing a business competition, so bad, very bad, bad. What about you, Tash? What do you think?
You kind of hit on every point I was gonna say, because like art, there's a difference between like I do impressionism and I do cubism and I work in oils. That's like, those are art forms, right? Henna is so closely tied to a specific cultural practice that for the initial reaction to kind of be to disregard Nishat's response to it, like that's when it becomes disrespectful and like appropriative, because if they had worked together, then Flavia could have used her art skills to further like help Nishat raise awareness on Henna styles. You know, they could have collaborated it. It would have been like oh no, we lost Andrea.
Yeah, she's gonna reconnect, but you can keep going.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like if it's one thing to like collaborate with somebody, or even, you know, if Flavia's move had been, I'm going to reach out to people within this community who don't know how to do henna themselves and don't have access to henna, and like let's work together to like recreate henna that they did in their past and like talk about their stories, that would be a whole other story. But instead what's happening is she's taking this art form and like
Profiting.
turning it into a very superficial thing. You know, there's no story behind what she's doing with her booth. It just looks pretty.
And that's what she says. That's what she says in a shot too. She's like, I thought it was really cute, and I'm an artist. I can do that. So here we go. I'm gonna do it because I'm good at it, and I don't care.
Yeah, which is completely disrespectful. And like the fact that Nishat very quickly told her, hey, I'm not cool with you doing this. These are the reasons why I'm not cool with you doing this, and I need you to respect that. And she just kind of blew her off. Like, that's where it crosses the line, where if someone has told you that they feel disrespected and gives you a reason and it says like, hey, this is what's going on, and you're just like, oh, well, you're just being emotional and taking it personally. That's, you know, you don't get to do that and then say that you didn't know what you were doing was problematic. Like, yes. you do it the one time and then someone calls you out on it. You're no longer like, hi, you're back. You no longer have plausible deniability. Like, someone has checked you and said, this is uncool. Can you please not do this? And if you choose to keep doing it, then you're just being the one in the wrong in that situation. Yeah, so like,
yeah. All right, fine.
No, pues sí. So had it been like a collaboration or a thing of like, hey, our booth is going to be like, we're teaching you henna. I'm going to be teaching Flavia how to do these things. And like, you guys can sit in and listen. And as you're getting this like teaching experience, you can get your henna done. That would have been one thing, but that's not what happened. And so I don't think it's cool the way that she kind of played it off like it wasn't a big deal. I like that she did eventually check herself and was, you know, actually experienced guilt of, you know, I'm sorry I discounted your feelings and I didn't respect that that's how you were feeling, because like it's you know, we have the like Behigante stuff that people create in Puerto Rico, and that has a very specific cultural thing to it too. So if someone started just kind of doing that as a thing that's for funsies and not even discussing the relationship with like Puerto Rico, that, you know, that's another example of, yeah, you might be able to be good at doing this specific thing, and like, why not? I can be making these statues, but you can't erase the existence of the culture that's tied to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like no kid wants to be wrong. So I think that her reaction was normal. But like I said, I really like that she came around.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you, Drea? What do you think? Is there ever an instance where like that is okay? What do you think?
Yes and no. Like I don't think there's an instance like this where someone is taking the culture and like doing it, but I've been thinking about it a lot in terms of like books,
Mm-hmm.
because that's been a conversation that people have been having a lot on the internet lately, where it's like, who can write what characters, and are you, you know what I mean, like appropriating that culture, or like, and it seems like the consensus in the book world is you should not write main characters who are outside of your culture, but you should include other cultures in your side characters so that your books are diverse. But that's, and I don't know how that's just been like a conversation that I've seen a lot lately, where it's like who is okay to write what books. And it kind of comes down to a similar sort of thing, where it's like, if it's not your culture, should you be writing it? But then we want representation of a lot of cultures and the things that we're like reading and consuming. So you know what I mean? It's like Flavia's Brazilian, but the author isn't Brazilian by any means. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those things that I think about. So no, I think in general, cultural appropriation is very wrong, and we should be very mindful of what we do. But I also think it's interesting in the context of writing, and at what point do you cross that line when you're writing characters and cultures.
Nice. Yeah, wow. That's how I feel.
It's just come up a lot because people are so into like own voices books, but then like what makes a book own voices, and is it wrong to read a book if it's not own voices? And it's come up a lot like in the queer community, because then it's like, you don't want people to have to come out in order for the audience to know that it's an own voices book, but then if they don't come out, then they
might get attacked. But they might be like, well, why are you telling our stories? This isn't your story to tell.
Exactly. So that's like the conversation that's been happening a lot recently around like, well, we don't want to make queer people feel like they have to come out in order to write queer stories, but we also don't want people who aren't queer to write queer stories. So like, how do we know?
Yeah, it's a tricky situation. I think that since we're living in a society, we're like steeped in racism, you know, homophobia and white privilege. All of that mixes together to benefit people that are marginalized. And so, you know, it's easy to exploit the other when you're in a position of privilege. And I think a lot of the pushback is, you know, why can't I just write whatever I want to write? Art is art. And it's like, it's not. Mm-hmm. And you need to take your mind out of that privileged mindset. You know what I mean? And hopefully, you know, who knows, years down the line, you know, where years and years and years, who knows, hopefully not that long, but like we'll reach some sort of balance or whatever. And it'll just be, we won't have the need for own voices. We'll just, you know, whatever. This is like literary utopia, but that's just how
we have voices.
Yeah, we just have the voices. I mean, yeah, but we're so steeped in inequality. It's just bound to happen, and it's always going to be really messy, you know, to be able to include everyone, but not like expose anyone to abuse, you know, without absolutely having to. So, woof, a lot of food for thought. on that
My
one.
next question is lighter, don't worry.
That's cool. That's cool.
And I was basically going off of, so for those of you who aren't familiar, we always have in December kind of the OLL end of the year awards. And, you know, we talk about like the best chemistry, hottest sex scene, etc. But one of the categories is like best side character. And I thought that this book had quite a few like cool side characters. So I was just curious, who was your favorite side character? And if the sister was not an option, who was your favorite side character?
No, that's not fair.
Okay, well, let's be real. We would all pick the sister. So
No, I'll pick Preeti. She's just so cute. And I like that she's not a perfect sister, you know? There's a I mean, I already said that we're gonna spoil the book, but you know, she has a really big part in this really traumatic event that's happening to Nishat. We'll find out, you know, not because she's doing it, you know, on purpose or like there's nothing nefarious about it. It's just that it just so happened that she was kind of venting to her friend, and then her friend betrayed her confidence and went ahead and outed her sister. She was trying to do some damage control, and you know, she was like, you know, I needed someone to talk to and I couldn't talk to you, so I tried to the next best thing. But I mean, I would have loved to talk to you. And so I thought she was really cute. I thought that she wasn't perfect, but that she was trying really hard. And a little bit kind of like to kind of backtrack to the previous question. I liked that. I know that not all these books aren't supposed to like teach us anything, right? But I do think that people reading it take a lot away from it. I liked that there was a really explicit apology from Flavia saying, I'm sorry I appropriated your culture. I'm sorry that I didn't listen to you first. And I also liked the conversations that Priti and Nishat were having where it's like, I was going through this and I felt like I couldn't count on you. Well, you can count on me now. And I just like that modeling. You know, I like it when young people have good examples of how you can talk to one another when things are really hard, how you can apologize when you were wrong. And so I enjoyed that. Okay, so maybe I don't remember all of the things from the book, but I don't remember the other characters aside from Priti. So let's do a quick pause really over here because I think Drea got disconnected from us again. We'll just pause.
I did?
Yeah, you froze for me. You froze for me. So
Now you're moving.
Now you're moving. Earlier
You just looked really invested.
You were so still.
It was like,
oh, I was like, no, I'm here. Why can't you see me?
It just froze for a little bit. Okay, but you're back. Okay, who are the other people? There was China with a Y.
That bitch.
That's the bad guy.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. Yes, that bitch, but I also liked that she had her own little arc where she was like, wait, I'm racist?
Wait, hold on.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I appreciated that because I like that it's like what you said, Chris, the fact that it was so explicit, like, hey, you can have a family member of color and still be racist.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
There was a lot of voting happening in this.
I don't know I didn't look up how to pronounce this.
There was Jess, right?
Jess, and then there's Chiwon.
I think I was pronouncing it Chiwon, but I don't know. Chawon. Hold on.
Is it in the FAQ?
It's not.
It's not. No.
It's not.
Okay, so dang it. Okay, well, I guess we'll have to look up how it's said later.
Wait, I'm gonna mute myself for a sec and find this because I googled it. Hold on.
How to pronounce?
Well, yeah. If I wasn't picking Priti, I would pick China, just because I think it's important for kids to see that you can be racist even if you have friends of color or family members of color or relationships of color, and B, you can change and stop saying racist shit when you realize this. Not that she was like perfect at the end, but clearly she was en route to becoming a better human being. You know, we caught her at like the end of her terribleness and the beginning stages of like the better China. So I like that.
I can definitely see China being someone who dates a minority though, and is like, see?
Yeah, I'm not convinced with I'm not convinced with China's redemption.
And it is.
I knew someone like that who I knew someone like that who dated, who was at the time that I knew her, was dating a Mexican, and was like, she was like a Trump supporter and was like, I'm not racist, like I'm dating a Mexican, I love Mexicans, but they should come here legally like my boyfriend did, you know what I mean? So it was like one of she would use him as, anyway, yes, there's plenty of people like that, and that's why I think that character is so important, because she didn't even realize what she was doing. Like, to her, her cousin did not count. You know, her cousin was this like I'm not racist because of my cousin, but also my cousin is like them because she's my cousin. And so I think that was an important realization for her. And for Flavia, who didn't even realize, like, oh, hey, my other people like shit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're asking me like who I liked, I'm not going to pick China, but I do think that she's an important character, and what she talked and what her journey is during the course of the events of the book is important. And yes, it's kind of like the anti-example. But I mean, if I was going to pick someone I liked, I don't think I would pick her. But I agree with what you're saying. Super important. I guess I'd pick Flavia. Can I pick her?
She's not a side character. She's the main character too, isn't she? Are the love interests technically side characters, or are they main characters too?
I mean, I think they're side characters if they don't have their own POV chapters. That's how I feel.
Oh,
but that might be wrong. I might be super wrong about that. I just don't consider her a main character. But I don't know. What about you, Tosh? Are you Team China too?
I'm not Team China. I think that she, again, serves a really important role as like the nuances of what racism can be.
Ivan just died.
What happened? I missed it. Sorry.
Yeah, Ivan just died.
Oh.
He like fell off a cliff.
Oh yeah, he's playing. What is it? He's playing Smash Brothers.
I don't want to get docked.
You're fine. You're fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I think I would say I like Preeti because she's like a cute little sister character. I've never had a younger sister, so like she was kind of annoying at some point, so I was like, whatever. I actually also liked the parental arc in this, right? Mm-hmm. Because the parents started off being like, don't be gay. And then at the end of it, it's like, wow, my child's going through this traumatic shit at school. Like, I really need to be there for my kid. And then at the end, they were like making efforts with Flavia, right? If I remember correctly, they were like, oh, get ready. They're going to feed you and there's going to be a whole thing. So that to me was like such a like growth happening in the background of the story. And so I liked them, which is rare because usually I don't like parents like that.
I didn't want to talk about the parents because I didn't know if you were going to ask us a question about it. But yes, that's a good point as well.
Yeah, I did have, that was actually my last question, just because obviously the two main characters have very different parental support systems, or like just family support systems in general. Nishat has parents that are maybe not super supportive in the beginning anyways, but she has a sister who's known that she's gay for a really long time, right? And is like super supportive. Whereas Flavia has like a really supportive parent, but then she doesn't have a peer her own age. Like nobody knows she's queer, right? She like keeps it to herself and doesn't really have that like sister or friend that she can confide in. So my question is like, what would you rather have? Like a super supportive parental figure or a super supportive like peer, either sister, friend, whatever, like what would you rather have?
Think about it.
Everyone would have both.
Well, because I'm trying to think of what I have now, because I have that either or situation. And I wonder,
but also like, as a teenager, which one would you have rather had? Because right now, I don't think it's fair to ask ourselves that now, because we don't live with our parents. We can choose not to communicate or communicate as we see fit. But like when you were a teenager.
Oh, man. I guess, yeah, it's rough to think about. I guess I would, if I were to choose when I was a teenager, and kind of like based on how my relationships were with my parental figures, I would choose to have a peer group uh, that I could, or a peer that I could, talk to. I think that would have been easier for me, and it was easier up to a certain point. Like I didn't have like a ton of queer friends or openly queer friends, but I did have some. Um, and yeah, so if you're asking me which one, then I would pick peer for sure. Yeah, I think that would be easier for me as a kid to be able to open up and to talk about things that we were like going through. I don't know how it is otherwise. I almost, now that you bring it up, like with the parental arc, I was always like side eyeing them whenever they were making progress to like accept her more. I kept waiting for them to, take it back, that they didn't really mean it, that they were just saying it to say it to indulge her, but that really in their hearts they still hoped that she was, just going through a phase. I'm glad that didn't happen in the book, but me, like little Christina's heart was like scared and mistrustful of the parents, even if they were written as completely earnest and whatever. It would take me, I know that she was like, yay, I'm so happy you're supporting me now, but Christina in this book would have been like very mistrustful and would have taken a very long time to believe them, take them at their word after their first kind of like encounters. But then again, there's like more stuff to it than that, like culturally. So I don't know. I just know I don't trust parents. So whatever. The end. That's my answer. Tasha, you can go next.
I think I would have wanted supportive parents, because even when we were going through high school, like I did feel not 100% accepted, because I was very quiet and I was very focused on like studies and stuff, and I got teased. Chris and I kind of got teased, and then she left school, and I had like my other friend groups, and I mostly hung out with girls, and people were talking shit about how like we were definitely lesbians because we weren't dating guys. And the whole like teasing thing was built around the fact that because we weren't hooking up with boys, then we must be gay, because otherwise we would be hooking up with boys. And the kind of thing that I focused on while all that was going on was like, this is temporary. Like, I know I'm going to go to school. I know that there's other people out there who are not as stupid as the current circumstances I'm in right now. And like, my parents were always very supportive of me in a lot of ways, and have always been very understanding. And like, me as an adult, I have a wonderful relationship with them where I talk to them about everything. Like, I don't hide stuff from them, because I've been able to speak with them honestly from the time I was young. And like, yeah, they were very strict up until a certain point, but because we had open communication, like they were able to trust me in ways that they didn't really trust my sister, because she was like sneaky about stuff. She'd like sneak out of the house, she'd like sneak out of school and cut class, and because of that they like didn't trust her to a certain degree. But I kind of took the opposite path of that, and had the support and had the honesty, and like that got me through a lot of peer pressures and like frustrations. And I was able to kind of avoid getting into certain situations that if I had parents who didn't support me and weren't 100% like there for me, I would have probably given into certain pressures in different ways. And I don't know that I would have been I don't think I would have felt good about decisions I made, because peers are also going through similar pressures as you. And so someone might have your back and be 100% supportive, but their perspective might be just as skewed as yours. And the things they place values on might be just as skewed too. So, like, I feel like I probably would have preferred parental support, because, like, they're old. They know, the value system of, like, sex in high school is not at all like right. It's not. Everyone's just hormonally driven and crazy. So yeah. That being said, I did have Christina like the entire time I was growing up. So like she was my ride or die, and like I had my sister who I could talk to about stuff. So I was super lucky,
What about you, Drea? What would you pick if you had to?
I think it's a very different situation. We're thinking of like when we were teenagers versus if I was a teenager now, just because of social media. And so because I think when I was a teenager, like my school experience was very, very bad. And there was like a lot of bullying, and it was like very terrible, and I dreaded going to school a lot. And so home was kind of like that safe space for me, where like school was over and I could go home and I didn't have to talk to anyone. Like they had no way to touch me when I was at home. Obviously it's not the case now, right? Because everybody's online and can, the shit can be spoken about you and shit can be posted about you and people can reach you in all these different ways. But like back then, it's like if someone wanted to talk to me, they had to call the landline. My mom or my dad would probably pick up. You know what I mean? It was just a very different situation. And so I think, and that's not to say that like my parents knew everything about me, because I was a very reserved child who kept a lot of things to myself. But I did feel safe at home. I think that was really important to me. Like if I hadn't had that like safety of home, I don't know that I could have gone through school. And I had really good friends. I had a really good friend group of like 3 people who I really trusted. So it's not like I was like completely alone or didn't have friends. I did. It's just they weren't enough to mitigate the awful parts of school. They weren't with me all the time. They weren't with me in all my classes. So really like home was like my good place. So I definitely would have picked parents, just because I don't know what I would have done if home and school had been awful places for me. But I don't know how that would have been different. I feel like if we were talking about now, I would probably just pick really good peers, just because of the way the internet is. And I don't know. I don't think safe home would have been enough considering like how the internet permeates everything. But yeah, if we're talking about when I was growing up, then yes, I would pick I would pick family, even if I didn't tell them enough things for them to even choose if they were going to be supportive or not, because I kept a lot of things to myself. They believed that they were supportive people, and so that was enough to make it like a really nice place.
Yeah. So. I mean, let's see. If I was gonna be like, if I'm a teenager now, I think I would still pick a peer group. For the same reason that I just love being on the internet now. Like there's ways for you to find like a lot of people. So that like, think like you and whatever. I mean, that's a double-edged sword, but I think that's cool. That it's such a big community.
Yeah, no, I'm so grateful that I was a teen when I was a teen, because I don't know how I would have handled, like literally like my only escape was like coming home, and I don't know how I would have handled it if like people were saying the stuff they were saying about me like on the internet too.
Oh God.
They would have, like teenagers are dicks, and there would have been memes 100%. So yeah, I'm just really glad I didn't have to live through that.
Yeah, that's fair and valid, and I'm sorry that happened.
I mean, I'm not a teenager now, and I'm constantly on social media being like, what's the trend? Maybe I'll try this. So if I were a teenager now, I 100% would be terrible. I would probably be a terrible person.
Um,
I'd be like, I want to be cool. Oh, everything exists on the internet. All right, time to sell my soul.
or like that one zine that I have, like nothing ever dies on the internet, or nothing on the internet is ever erased, or something like that. I'm like, oh God. Cool. All right. Do you have any more
Those are my
questions for
only
us?
questions.
Awesome. Okay, let me think. Is there anything I wanted to bring up?
No, those are my questions.
I think that you kind of basically covered everything, especially with this thing with the parents. Kind of get to talk to that about that a little bit, about their arc. So yeah, this was really cool. If you're still hanging out, check it out if we haven't spoiled it for you. And if you have any other like issues or discussion points, you can leave us a comment, send us a message on Instagram at Only Lovers Book Club. I would love to hear from everybody. So let's talk about what we are reading next month, right? September. God, this year is just.
Oh, by the way, before we move on to next month, just so that you can all get pumped, because I'm gonna pick this for OLL next year.
Oh no.
Her next
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about something else.
No. It's called well, I don't know how to pronounce their names, but it's Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating. And I have no idea what it's about, but the cover is wonderful, and apparently it has fake dating in it. So I'm excited. And if you go to the author's website, she has a playlist of songs that she would listen to while writing the book. So
awesome.
It's pretty cute. I'm excited, and that will be an OLL book in
the future. Yes. 2021. Good grief.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's see. Okay, so what we're reading next month is Take a Hint, Danny Brown. Tosh, tell me who that cover kind of reminds you of. I looked at that cover and I was like, is that Joshua and I? I mean, I know it's not, but like when you had like shorter hair and like he's got a beard, I don't know. It just kind of looked like you.
Wait, let me look at the image online, because
okay.
It's pink.
Oh, it's so cute. You know what I mean? I'm getting like the vibes. She seems very short.
I do have bleach and like pink hair color here.
All right, so we are going to be reading Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and this is by Talia Hibbert, who wrote Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and I read that, and it was so good. Oh my goodness, go read that. So here is this has been like making the rounds on Romance Bookstagram. We're late to the party as usual. I don't care. Fuck you. But we're getting around to it now. And I didn't read it ahead. I was gonna I'm just gonna read it and reread it. No, I'm just gonna be fresh. I'm gonna let the sexiness wash over me. So this is what it's about. And if you are listening to this, read along with us in the month of September. And at the end, we'll get together to discuss it, and you can hear us do that. Danica Brown knows what she wants: professional success, academic renown, and occasionally an occasional roll in the hay to relieve that career-driven tension. But romance, been there, done that, burn the t-shirt. Romantic partners, whatever their gender, are a distraction at best and a drain at worst. So Danny asks the universe for the perfect friend with benefits, someone who knows the score and knows their way around the bedroom. When big, brooding security guard Zafir Ansari rescues Danny from a workplace fire drill gone wrong, it's an obvious sign. PhD student Danny and former rugby player Zaf are destined to sleep together. But before she can explain that fact to him, a video of the heroic rescue goes viral. Suddenly, half the internet is shipping hashtag Dr. Rugby. And Zaf is begging Danny to play along. Turns out his sports charity for kids could really use the publicity. Lying to help children? Who on earth would refuse? Danny's plan is simple. Fake a relationship in public, seduce Zaf behind the scenes. The trouble is, Grumpy Zaf is secretly a romantic, and he's determined to corrupt Danny's stone-cold realism. Before long, he's tackling her fears into the dirt. But the former sports star has issues of his own, and the walls around his heart are as thick as his thighs. Suddenly, the easy lay Danny dreamed of is more complex than her thesis. Has her wish backfired? Is her focus being tested? Or is the universe waiting for her to take a hint? Well, I'm pumped. People love this book. I really love Chloe Brown. I'm really excited to read this. And there's also like I've seen people share like really cute fan art of the characters. And so they're not like a perfect fit for Tasha and I, but I'm just saying, like, maybe, I don't know, if you want, recreate it, make a TikTok or a reel or something. Then we'll just like boom, put it there.
I'm
So
gonna have to color my hair. We can probably get it done.
I mean, you're right. Never, it's okay. Maybe you can swap places. Ivan can paint his hair. You're still muted for me.
Okay, I am gonna do color to his hair soon, but it's not pink though.
Oh, I see. Okay, whatever. I mean, a girl can dream. It's fine. So I'm excited for reading it. I hope you guys are too. Is this my pick? This is my pick, right?
Downstairs, yeah.
It's my pick.
Wait, did I pick something for October?
Yeah, we are reading.
Yeah, it's the magic.
Yeah, the one we won.
We are closing out. We are closing out Q3 with Danny Brown, and then we have to get it together so I can start. Well, we have Tashai's pick, but me and Dre have to kind of like really settle on where there's so many options. So thanks for sticking around. If you've made it this far, if you seem to enjoy what you hear here and like our discussions, like our looks, like our personalities, then leave us a tip. We've got a tip jar link. Don't forget that you can also check out Drea's books. One of them is a romance. The other one is an awesome.
You know what's crazy?
What?
I just realized that the pandemic started when we were in Q1. And now we're finishing Q3 and we're still in pandemic.
Gulp. Look, I don't want to think about that.
Everything is terrible.
You can check Tashai's creative writing over at thishtashai.com. You can submit to my zine, Amiga por Siempre. And of course, you can catch us in our socials. We're on Instagram, Only Lovers Book Club. And if you care to get some really cute newsletter stuff in your email, then sign up for the newsletter. Till September, friends. Bye.
Bye.